Okay, let's show you one of our maturing silvopasture projects. So this is on one of my favorite farms to work with. They just care a lot about these trees, do a lot of great things just to maintain them nicely. They're very hands-on with the trees, and so the trees have really thrived because of it. So these guys right here, this is a hybrid poplar. These were planted as 14-foot live stakes because 14 foot is as long as the trailer was that we were transporting them, and that's how big of a stake that we could bring over to this site. So here we have a hybrid poplar that was started from live stake. So these were planted in the spring of 2023. We're right now in August of 2025. So they have 2.5 growing seasons on them. This right here is a grafted honey locust. And that's looking like about 12 feet tall, about twice as high as the tube is right now. No pods on it yet. I'm anticipating that they'll likely start to produce pods next year because they produce pods on their second year wood. So that's looking really nicely. You'll notice that there's no electric fencing on these. None of these have electric fencing on the trees themselves. And that's because the farmer in this case, they set up polywire along with their normal paddock division. So they'll just put a row of polywire along the trees and on either row in order to set up their paddock. And they were telling me that if they use 2 paddocks at once, then they'll just have 2 rows of polywire, one on either side of this row of trees. And that's how they'll make their division there. So very simple, no permanent polywire. I will say that for folks who don't want to spend quite as much time on things or want it to be simpler, want it to be a little bit more foolproof, it is nice to have the permanent polywire set up, especially if you can have the overpass where you have the polywire going down a line of trees. You would pop a hole here in the top and you would put a tie in there and you would run a line of polywire down the row of trees, and then you would take an aluminum wire and you would wrap that around the tree tube. That's very simple, and it's very nice, especially if you don't if you want to have paddocks that are larger than this. These are fairly small paddocks that they're putting together. Or if you have a lot of people that are working on the farm and or an intern or apprentices, and you just don't want a miscommunication that happens to lead to the trees getting abused or the fence not be put up right or livestock having access to the trees. So it's just easier if you can have a pretty permanent setup to protect these trees. Now you'll see on the layout here, we've got these poplars. You have a whole row of poplars, and our client designed this themselves. And so what we got here is we have like an alternating pattern. I believe it's 45 feet between rows and 20 feet between trees in the row. And the goal is to eventually take out these fast-growing shade trees. And this row is a bunch of hybrid poplars. There's another row of hybrid willows over there. You can see other tall trees. And then eventually you'd have a grid of your long-term species. So that's going to be your honey locusts, your bitternut hickories, your persimmons, and then there's some hybrid oaks here as well. Let's go take a look at those. So there's going to be a nice mix, a diverse species mix here eventually. I mean, there already is, but those are going to be the dominant species as they mature. So this is a hybrid oak. I believe it's a hybrid between a white oak and a bur oak, if I remember correctly. This was planted as a very, very small seedling, about 6 inches tall, if I remember right. and they're pretty uniformly coming out of the tree tubes now. This seems to be what most of them are doing. So very nice. Be a nice tree long term. Very slow growing. That's kind of how they go. But they will be a really nice tree long term. This is one of those hybrid willows that I was talking about. Again, these were planted as 14-foot tall live stakes, and they're just really, really easy to get established really quickly. The farmer was telling me that the cows have been appreciating this shade. So you can see right there the shade being cast by this tree. She was saying that the cows have been laying about two cows per tree have been laying down, and that they do spread out quite a bit. So they'll go 2 by 2 and pick their spot in the paddock, and they'll all lay down and chew their cud, which is exactly what we wanted to see. They weren't all bunching up under one tree, and as you can see here, the shade is moving a good bit throughout the course of the day because these trees are tall, and eventually, as the canopy gets bigger, we can take off some of those lower branches and move the canopy up on the tree so that the shade moves more throughout the course of the day. So this is great results that we're seeing here already on this farm. Just a beautiful setup, very well done. Very nice looking silvopasture. Again, this is only in its 3rd growing season, and it's really starting to look like something. They're getting shade benefits off of these trees. And then something that they can do later is, this is only a smaller portion of the farm. If they wanted to, they could cut these trees down, these hybrid poplars or hybrid willows, once there's enough other shade, and they can move them to another part of the farm if they wanted fast shade there and just have a 20-foot tall live stake. So there we go. This was one great example of how silvopasture can look really, really nice. This is going to look like a park, and you can get results faster than most people anticipate. There we go.